So, the Brooklyn Nets have been very busy in the past few days. They've signed Lamarcus Aldridge and Paul Millsap, both to 1 year deals, and they've also made a trade with the Detroit Pistons, including DeAndre Jordan for Jahlil Okafor and Sekou Doumbouya, as well as a few other details. But I think the biggest thing here are the signings of Millsap and Aldridge. So, if we talk about that first, I think Aldridge, he did play a few games with the Nets, and first of all, it's just great that his health problems are better now and that he can get back to playing in the NBA. I think he does certainly provide the Nets with something in terms of his shooting from the big man position, which is something they don't really have. I think he's a better shooter than Blake Griffin and more of a threat spacing the floor. With the Brooklyn Nets, in a very limited sample size, he only played 5 games, but he was pretty good. He averaged about 13 points a game and 5 rebounds. I don't think he'll play as much as he did in the 5 games, nor will he average as many points, but I think it is encouraging. His 3-point percentage for the last 2 years on about 3 a game has been around 39%, which is also really good. So I think he can provide a good screen setter and someone who can pop out to 3 and to the mid-range. He can obviously shoot the mid-range really well, and a lot of his career was built on that turnaround mid-range. And I guess that could be something to go to for the Nets like twice a game, though I don't think it's going to be too much of that. I think a lot of it is just going to be screen setting, some of it just standing in the dunker spot, waiting for drop-off passes where he can finish around the rim, and then spotting up and around the 3-point line and providing spacing, which I think is important. He gives them some lineup versatility. I think Woj said a lot of his minutes will come at center, and that does make sense. Lets the Nets play 5 out and makes them really even more dangerous offensively. But he could also play power forward with Claxton at center if they want more size, or he could play with Blake if they want like passing and shooting. So I think he gives them a lot of lineup versatility. He gives them some spacing. In terms of defense, I mean, it's not going to be great. He's pretty slow-footed. I think, as long as they just tell him to play drop on the pick and roll, it shouldn't be that bad. But, I mean, he's not out there for defense, and the Nets aren't going to be good defensively anyways. But I don't think there's any potential for switching or anything like that. I think it'll just be drop and, playing him against backup centers who are probably less of a threat. Like, almost every team, there's a guy, like, you can stick him on. Like, if they're playing, like, he can match up against backup centers and probably survive against them. They also signed Paul Millsap, which, we'll see. I think he's been on a pretty slow decline, but averaged 9 points and 5 rebounds and 2 assists last year. I think he probably gives them a bit more of a defensive option, even though he is pretty old. He's 36, but I think, in terms of just knowing where to be defensively, sort of a little bit switchy. I mean, you wouldn't want him defending the perimeter against smaller guards, but, he can probably hold his own against most bigger players. In terms of the 3-point shot, I mean, it goes up and down. Last year was 34%. The year before that was 44%. So, I think they could trust him to make his spot up threes at a decent rate. He's a smart passer. He is like a smart two-way player, which I think could be a good addition. He also gives them some versatility as well as Aldridge around the big three. He could probably be involved in more switchy lineups, more defensive-oriented lineups, while still not killing their offense, which could be good for the Nets. So, I think Millsap and Aldridge, both good signings, both low risk. And these are the type of players the Nets can afford to get because they have that appeal of having the big three and competing for championships. 2 good signing for the Nets. Now for the trade. So, at the trade with the Pistons, the Nets are sending DeAndre Jordan 4 future second-round picks and $6 million to Detroit for Jahlil Okafor and Sekou Doumbouya. The Pistons plan to work on a buyout with DeAndre Jordan, who has 2 years $20 million left on his contract, and the Nets will save $47 million in salary and tax on this deal. So a lot of money saved for the Nets here. Woj has the picks. Nets send the Pistons their own 2022 and 2027 second round picks, so the Pistons get their picks back. A 2024 second rounder for the Wizards, and a 2025 second rounder be via the Warriors. So for the Nets, I think the incentive is clear to get off DeAndre Jordan and just save a lot of money. I think, Sekou Doumbouya, Jahlil Okafor, I don't think they'll play much. I think Doumbouya still has a little bit of potential in terms of maybe he can be unlocked as a screen setter and a rim runner, but hasn't quite panned out so far, and I wouldn't have high expectations. And then for the Pistons, they have bought out a lot of guys between Blake and now DeAndre Jordan, but 4 second round picks, you can use those in future trades. Getting their own second round picks back is good. So yeah, that could be something. And then with Doumbouya, it probably wasn't going to work out. They have a lot of young guys between Cade and Killian Hayes and some of their second year guys. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but they're not Doumbouya wasn't breaking their franchise if he didn't turn out. So I think get a few picks and it's going to be all good for the Pistons. So overall the Nets just have I think they've done pretty well with these transactions, saving some money and then adding Millsap and Aldridge, and I think they're the favorites next year, and we'll just have to see how it all works out when they all play together. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys next time.